Okay, I want to keep with the NFL here. Bills signed Josh Norman to a contract. What do you guys make of this? Josh Norman's a guy who obviously took a big decline last year.
I think it's really a reach for the Bills. I think they had a really, really solid defense last year. I thought their corner play especially was outstanding. I mean, I don't really get the point of the signing. I mean, they did get him for not too much. I don't know the exact number. I think it was around $3 million.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
honestly. It doesn't matter.
You know, but just like I don't know. He took such a big dip. He was a really, really good corner in his prime. We saw him play excellent football for the Panthers, a couple years ago. But I just don't get the signing. The Bills have a really, really young team. They have a lot of young talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And it doesn't really make sense to me. Kind of like the Kenny Atkinson. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so Pro Football Focus, I think, is a super cool website. They have a lot of interesting ways of ranking players.
Oh, yeah.
They know what they're doing there. They have Josh Norman graded as the 115th corner out of 119 qualifiers.
Yeah,
I think that's all you need to hear. Josh Norman was abysmal last year. He played almost every down, and he only had one interception. He took a huge step down last year. He obviously has a lot of baggage that comes along with his personality on and off the field. For a team like Buffalo that was really just starting to establish a nice winning culture with Josh Allen, I don't like this signing at all.
Really, they started to establish a nice winning culture with this defense.
Yeah.
This Buffalo defense is the best part of its team. It might be one of the best It is one of the best defenses in the NFL.
It's top five. Top five.
There's a legitimate argument to be made that it is the best defense in the NFL. I'm not making that argument, but there are some people who will.
Someday we can make that argument.
And this team, with Tre'Davious White, who is a star in the making at corner, he's just going to get the spotlight taken away from him. And then Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde at the safety position. This defensive backfield is legit. This defensive backfield is one of the best in the entire NFL. And I really do think that the addition of Josh Norman will just distract from really
That's really what he is. Josh Norman is just a distraction at this point in his career.
Yeah, there are certain people that just I don't think are conducive to team success.
Yep.
We talked about one a little bit earlier for basketball and Kyrie Irving, and I think Josh Norman is one of those people. I think that Josh Norman is just one of those guys who isn't as conducive for team success as his star value would make it out to be. Yes, he was good on the Panthers. Yes, he was serviceable his first few years on the Redskins. But right now, he's just a big name that isn't getting it done. And I don't understand this from the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott is a great head coach that is building a young team and building towards something, and it really felt like all of the moves that were made by their front office last season were intentional. They added a lot of pieces to the offensive line. They added a few wide receivers. They added some running backs, and they really made this team elevated the offense to match up with the defense. And now it sort of feels like they are just going to stay pat with what they have, and now they're going to try to make a big splash because they don't know where else to go as far as structural part of this team. And I don't think that cornerback is the way to do it. There's still ways to build up the fundamental nature of this team, the fundamental pieces, whether that be at offensive line, at wide receiver, which is still struggling for them, or anywhere else on the offense, or defensive line. I don't think that cornerback is the way to go right now.
Yeah, I really just don't think, there's so many other areas they could have addressed and emphasized. You mentioned receiver. I think that's a big one for them. I really liked what we saw at Mike Singletary in the backfield. I thought he was a really, really productive
They still
player.
need to address the running back position a little bit, because they can't keep running Frank Gore all the time.
Also,
he's going to break.
Just correction, Devin Singletary in the backfield, just so we get that cleared up. You said Mike Singletary, both of them football players.
Hey, I'm just saying,
great.
Sticking Mike Singletary in your backfield right now wouldn't be that bad of an idea.
It might not be that bad, but I do like the foursome that Buffalo has in their backfield. You look at Singletary, Gore, Shady McCoy, and TJ Yeldon.
Shady actually is gone.
Shady's gone, but I liked what they had last season with that four, and I think that they still have the remnants of that backfield. And there's just other ways to improve your team right now that isn't wasting a ton of cap space.
They need to go young, too. I think they don't.
Need to skew young.
Yep.
Right now, it's about developing. That's how the best teams are made. You look at the jump that the 49ers had last year, and I think the Buffalo Bills are poised to continue their jump, and I don't think that making a big splash at the corner position, especially one that isn't producing the way that his contract is going to suggest, I don't understand this move, and I don't think it works.
Here's the thing in football. Unlike basketball, where you need to wait for your young guys to develop, it can often take years before you're a legitimate playoff contender. In the NFL, you really can stick a bunch of young guys who are really talented around a good quarterback and a good head coach. And I think the Buffalo Bills are really close to being at that point where they can legitimately contend around Josh Allen and the team they're putting around him. But I just think this Josh Norman signing was a step in the wrong direction. If they try to go old and try to get a bunch of veterans around this team, I think it can negatively affect the culture that they've built for themselves after making the playoffs Tyrod Taylor took them to the playoffs a few years ago, but this, I feel like, was really the first time they legitimately made the playoffs, and you felt like there was a real hope that they could actually win games, not that they were just happy to be there.
Yeah, this Buffalo Bills team coming into the playoffs was a team that I really thought was going to be a contender.
Yep, I thought they were going to win that first-round game.
Yeah, for some of the people that have watched this channel for a while back when it was SG1 NFL and I ran that, I was a big Bills believer. I thought that the Bills were a team that could make a splash in the playoffs, and I thought that the four that could get it done in the playoffs were, or the five that could get it done in the playoffs were all of the teams that made it from the AFC other than the Texans. And I thought the Bills had just as good a chance as really anybody to continue to roll with some wins and continue to roll all the way, really competing in the AFC. And they had that future and they had those hype.
Especially with the AFC East potentially being wide open now with no Tom Brady, potentially.
Yeah, right now it feels like the Bills are sort of preparing for an arms race against nobody because the Dolphins are not there, at least not yet. As much as I love Brian Flores as a head coach and love what he did this season with what little he had in Miami, I don't think that he's there yet, and I don't think that the Jets are there yet either. Sam Darnold still needs a little bit more time. They need some more weapons around him. They need to protect him better, and they need a stronger defense.
They need just about everything.
Everything. I think I like Sam Darnold, but I don't think that they match up with the Bills in really any other position except for wide receiver and running back. And I don't think that gets it done. The Bills seem like they are trying to gear up to win this AFC East, but they're not making the right moves to do it, at least not in my opinion. And I think that they already had the team to win the AFC East next year, especially if Tom Brady leaves.